Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever. My name is Chris, and today we were reviewing Russell's Reserve 13 Batch 6. This is the spring 2025 release. Now, I have to be honest with you guys, when I did a fresh crack of this, it was beyond disappointing. 100% the most disappointing bottle of 2025 so far. I had high hopes for this bottle, but let's go and see if a little bit of airtime made this a much better bottle. So we are on to the sixth batch of the Russell's Reserve 13 now. They all had been previously, I think, at 114 proof, but now is the first time that it is at batch proof, and we are getting this one's coming in at 123.8. I think at the time of this being released, it is the highest proof Russell's product that they have ever released. They've been hinting that there might be something coming in the future that's higher proof, but at the time of this is the highest one that there is. Given those stats, this is a bottle that I was dying to get. Highest proof Russells. It just followed up. All the previous batches have been amazing of this 13, and then batch 15, which basically was whiskey of the year last year. That is an absolute unicorn, a one-of-a-kind whiskey. Must try if you can, because it was absolutely phenomenal. However, when I went to get this and open it the first time, it was a massive letdown. It is really hard to follow the guy. So anytime, I guess, when you have a batch coming after one of the best releases they have ever done, it's going to be kind of hard to follow it. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not bad whiskey. It is what you're paying for what you're getting is my problem. This is now a $200 MSRP bottle. That is above the 10-year, age statement price you should be paying. Like, I think if you're following the standard, it should be like $130. Especially from a legacy distillery, we should be getting a little bit of a cheaper discount than that because they have much higher volume, so they can get much lower costs while still maintaining their margins. And then comparing that to the taste of this bottle, when I fresh cracked it, it was very fruit forward, very light, very much more on the kind of fresh fruit you'd pull from a tree, which I get from a lot of like Wild Turkey products and Russell's Picks, whereas some Russell's Picks you can get a little more oak on it, whereas this had almost little to no oak on it compared to the other Russell's 13s. For this one, they didn't say how much of it was 13 versus older components of the blend. In the past batches, you can research and you can find out some of those first batches had much older whiskey in it. I think Campari now knows that they can get a premium on those older age-stated products, so they're saving it for like Russell's 15 or other things. So my guess is this is probably actually almost exclusively 13-year-old barrels based on the taste profile, because this tastes much younger than those previous batches. And based on my first impressions, there have been some Russell's Reserve single barrels that I think taste better than this bottle, and you can get those at $80. So you're looking at, you can get two Russell's Reserve single barrels and save some money versus getting this bottle, and it just didn't quite make sense on the cost front to me. Now, maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they wanted a lighter, fruitier drink. Just mix up the different batches that you're getting, meet different flavor profiles of different consumers, and that's fine if that's what you're trying to do. It's just, to me, you can get that profile on much cheaper whiskey, so it's just hard for me to pay up $200 when I can find alternatives that get you kind of a similar drinking experience for a much cheaper cost. But with all that negative Nancy out of the way, let's go ahead and see if my opinions have changed on it now that it has some more air in it. This has had, I'm thinking how many weeks now? It's been at least 2 to 3 weeks that it's been at this level here. So that should give it some, if it's gonna change a little bit, that should be enough time for it to change, but we'll see. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Cheers. Okay, we are starting to get more cola, more oak in there, way more oak than the fresh crack. However, it's still not the previous batches of oak that I was used to. Let's see here. I think I have batch 3. Yeah, it's right here. Let me pull it out and just give it a whiff here and see if it's like similar profile. Yeah, there is way more oak on this batch 3 compared to this. Doing them side by side, that is really the only way you can really compare notes between batches. You can do it from memory, but it's not going to be 100% exact because you really can't go back to it in the moment and compare A, B, and to see which has more fruit, which has more oak. You're really going to kind of be stagnant in your mind, and it can be hard to really compare it. So that's the best way to actually compare it. And let's jump back in and see if I'm still getting those oak notes on this. Yeah, and like I said, now the fruit note is coming back. Like my memory when I first opened this, those oak notes have kind of washed out. I was getting it on fresh crack or fresh open here because it was in a vacuum. But when you put it next to what the older batches were and trying them, that oak note then kind of just get washes out because it is such a more prominent note in the older batches. Yeah, so much more fresh fruit now coming through this, bright cherry. A lot of those wild turkey notes I get, this is reminding me much more of a wild turkey profile than a Russell's profile. Because the Russell's I get more cola, more oak, more of that darker funk, whereas the turkey products to me are much more in the lighter, crisper funk. Yeah, overall, I think it has improved from the first time I had it, but it doesn't change my opinion on it that I think this is, on the aroma, a subpar Russell's Reserve 13 and really not worth the price. You're going to pay it, get one of the other batches. But before I give my final thoughts on it, let's go ahead and jump into a tasting of it. Okay, the notes on the palate aren't fresh and bright anymore. It's more of like a mulled wine. I'm getting much more of like a richer fruit note. It's not jam level. It's just more of that like kind of, it is a nice light sweetness. It's not a dark sweetness, but it definitely feels like it has been cooked. And that's why I think more of like the mulled wine sector. And then on the finish of this, there's a lot more proof on that back end. I'm getting a kind of a ginger, spices kind of tingling on the back of your tongue. And I think that's from the higher proof on this compared to the older releases where they're like 114 now to 123. You're getting much more of that like kind of ethanol alcohol on the back end, which a lot of people love. They love that Kentucky hug. Now, me personally, I much more prefer flavor, and I'll take a lighter whiskey that has a longer finish with that flavor, and I don't really need to have that just kind of burning sensation on the back of my tongue like I used to. When I was first getting into whiskey, I enjoyed that kind of burn on the back end because I was like, I'm a man, get a hair in my chest. But lately, I've been more just chasing the flavor than just the proof. I think other taste notes, I'd probably put this more in like the Dr. Pepper category than traditional cola notes because I'm getting so many more spices, and I kind of get that resemblance on Dr. Pepper more than Coke, where Coke's more of that just nice sweetness punch. So this is definitely, I think, more in the Dr. Pepper lane, which not necessarily is my jam. I like more of those cola notes with rich fruit notes in the background. But yeah, this is a little different than typical. So yeah, like I was talking about earlier, front of it's that mulled wine. In the middle palate, we're getting a lot more of a sweetness, like maybe like a caramel nougat. I don't know, some type of like more of a nice sweetness. I do like that middle note in it, that caramel note, very traditional. And then when you get to the end is when you get that ginger spice just tickling on the back of your tongue there from that proof. It is definitely lingering, that proof. Flavor-wise lingering, I don't think so much. I think it is more of that proof on the back end that is lingering, which to me is more of like a negative than a positive. But if you like that proof, this is definitely going to be much more up your alley. Okay, before we get into my final thoughts on this bottle, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you do not miss any future videos that I post. I'm doing reviews, hunting videos, lists, tiers, other stuff. But if there's anything you're interested, leave in the comments. I'm always looking to do content that you guys enjoy watching. Like for instance, someone left a comment that they want a review of the Old Forester Barrel Proof Rye, and that is coming up in the near future. Hey, so have my opinions changed? For $200, is this a bottle that you should go and get if you're gonna be buying 1 or 2 LEs a year, which $200 is a lot of money, so I kind of think of more in that price range. Is this the one to get? And my emphatic answer, again, is no. I have a big letdown in this bottle for the price and for what the label is. I think if you took the Russell's 13 label off of it, my opinion would be drastically different. I just have such high expectations for Russell's 13 and the 15 that they put out that I just put it on such a high pedestal that it can be hard to reach, I guess. But for what these have previously been, I think this misses the mark. And you can find other whiskeys at a half the cost that give you just a very similar drinking experience. Now it is better than it was at Fresh Crack. It's more complex than it was then. So it has evolved, it has gotten better, but I don't think it still hasn't reached a level that justifies the price. Now the secondary on this bottle is like roughly like $275, $300. If you're gonna be paying $300, definitely chase one of the older batches because there isn't much of a price difference between like 3, 4, 5 in this. So if you're going to be paying that, just get one of the older ones. But even though this bottle has been a letdown, I still will be buying the next couple Russell's Reserve 13s that come out just with how good the previous batches were. Now, if they have like 2 or 3 in a row that are subpar, I'll probably have to have some, hesitation just given the price point. But with how good the previous batches were and 15, I'm gonna give them grace on one batch. And these are definitely ones I'm gonna be hunting because they're gonna have variable proof. And that'll give them, I think, more leeway to be making a batch to a taste profile, where in the past they all had to be 114, so kind of they blended it, put down that proof, and that's what it was. So here with the variableness, I think it's gonna be much cooler to try them because I think you're going to have much more variance in the final product. But that's my review of the Russell Reserve 13 Spring 2025 edition. If you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any future videos. And check out this video here before you leave. And until next time, cheers.